Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with Mech Works. Today we are using the BattleTech, a game of armored combat rulebook, to use its construction rules to design a battle mech. For actual advanced mech design, there is the tech manual, which I hope to get one day, but for now, these kind of basic rules for construction are at least something to work with. And it's always fun to just try and make something up and see how it runs, and then look to the advanced rules for more specifics and fun stuff. So, first off, let's think about what kind of mech I want to have in mind. I want to have something that's going to be, reasonably tough, fairly quick, and has got a hatchet because hatchets are fun. So, let's look at the different weight classes. There's light, which is 20 to 35 tons, medium, which is 40 to 55 tons, heavy, which is 60 to 75 tons, and assault is 80 to 100 tons. I'm going to start out the mech design at 60 tons. So once you figure out what tonnage you want to work with, you're going to look at the internal structure table. So at 60 tons, the tonnage of the structure itself is 6 tons. So that already takes me down to 54 to work with. And then the internal structure circle will be 3 in the head, 20 in the center torso, 14 in each side, 10 in each arm, and 14 in each leg. The internal structure matters for designing armor later. So it'll be front, rear. I'll be putting numbers next to these lines for the external armor as I figure it out. So once I go through whatever armor I have, 20 points to the center torso will be enough to make absolutely sure the mech is destroyed. Or 3 damage to the inside of the head. There's also going to be a maximum armor factor for that internal structure. And it's always going to be a weird odd number, which you can never really fill out without it being uh, wasted tonnage. So at 60 tons, we have a maximum armor factor of 201. Armor is added in blocks of 16 or blocks of 8 for a half ton. So 16 is 1 ton of armor. 201. This is why we have calculators. So 101 divided by 16 is 12.5 something. So that's potentially 12 and a half tons of armor to work with. Just has a half ton. So it's anywhere from I've got anywhere from leaving the mech completely unarmored, gigantic, scary metal skeleton that's easily brought down, to almost fully maximized armor factor. So this is going to be the range I got to keep in mind. I want to have enough stuff to fight with, but I also want to be able to protect the mech so it can stay in the fight for longer. All right. Something else you can mess with the mech chassis is actuators. So, as you can see with the blank record sheet, you'll have a number of open critical slots for putting things, weapons, ammo, other technology. At this point, decide if you want to do away with uh, the hand and lower arm actuators. Might even just lose the hand actuator and to make some room, or you might completely get rid of the hand and lower arms on both so that you can arm flip. That's one of the advantages of the the Jenner and the Blackjack and other mechs that make use of being able to just arm flip to aim behind. However, for this mech, I'm going to need to at least keep one hand actuator for the hatchet. So it'll be left as is. Uh, Doing away with the actuators, though, adds penalties to punches. It's it's risky. Although at that point, those kinds of mechs usually resort to kicks anyway. All right. So next up is the engine. So first off, what kind of speed are you going for? Because your engine rating is based on the speed you want to go multiplied by your tonnage is the engine rating that you have to run that mech. This mech is probably going to be a 5.8. 5 walk, and then base walk times 1.5, rounded up to the nearest whole number for the run. Even walking 5 in a straight line is a 2 modifier. Being able to run 3 or run 7, run 8, and only use one turn is a 3 modifier. So we're looking at ER 300, which on the engine table has a tonnage value of 19. So subtract the 19 from what's left of our available tonnage. So five, there's 35 tons left to work with. Now, adding jump jets is an option that I might consider. I will think about jump jets later, but the tonnage of each jump jet is based on the tonnage of the mech. At less than 60 tons, they're a half ton each. At greater than at 90 plus tons, they're 2 tons each. I will I will hold off on adding the jump jets until I know what else I have to work with. Yeah, as the mech engine rating gets higher, it gets progressively heavier. A 400 engine rating is 52.5 tons, which for a 100-ton assault mech allows it to go 4.6. But it's eating up so much tonnage that you almost have to wonder if it's going to be worth it. All right. So we're coming back to the armor later. and also to remember jump jets on each. Okay, so now we go to the control systems. As shown on your mech, you have a gyroscope and a cockpit. These are necessary for actually piloting the mech and providing the balance for the mech. If you take two gyro hits, you're on the ground and you're stuck there. And it sucks to be stuck on the ground in a giant robot when you can't get up. All right. So the gyroscope is based on the engine rating, divided by 100, rounded up to the nearest whole number. You have a 300 rating, so it's a 3 tons. That leaves us with 32. The cockpit is always 3 tons. So that leaves us with 29 tons to work with. Again, we're going to want some for armor, and I might want some for jump jets. Now, this is the point. This is the point where you can add the armor. Again, I'm going to look at the equipment first, and then come back and deal with the armor and the jump jets. There's also adding additional heat sinks. You always have 10 heat sinks, period. You have the option to spend an additional ton for an additional heatsink. So that's something I'll keep in mind as I'm picking out weapons to work with. Now, one of the things that happens as your engine rating goes up, you can keep more of your heat sinks in the engine itself instead of occupying critical slots. With an engine rating of 300, I can have 12 max integral. So I can buy two more heat sinks, and they're safe in the engine. They're not at risk of getting shot out with critical damage. So one of the risks of running lighter mechs with low engines is those heat sinks are going to be stuck on the outside and could possibly get shot out. But if you're taking damage in a light mech in the first place, you're already on a downward spiral. So we'll keep that in mind for later. Remember armor, heat sinks, and jump jets. So here's where I'm at right now. I have 29 tons. Let's look at the weapons and equipment table. Lots of options. From direct fire energy weapons, which are always gonna you can always fire. You don't need ammo, but they're gonna generate heat. There's direct fire ballistic weapons. Very little heat to fire, decent damage, fairly good range, but they're very heavy and they require ammo. You'll get quite a bit of ammo, but in a long enough game, you may very well run out. And it's also a dangerous critical hit location because whatever ammo you have left in that spot, if it gets shot out, explodes. And because this is the basic rules for the game, there are no rules for case in this one. Anyway, and finally, there's missile weapons. There's the long range LRMs, good for long range, but they're heavy and don't have a whole lot of ammo going for them. They also have a minimum range. The smaller auto cannons have a minimum range as well. So once targets start getting close to you, you need to have shorter range weapons to deal with the situation. Alternatively, there are SRMs, short range. They max out at 9 hexes. Lightweight, a good amount of ammo. They do 2 damage per missile, but they're not firing a whole lot of missiles. The LRMs go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. SRMs go from 2 to 4 to 6. It's like an explosive shotgun of types. And then there's physical weapons, which in the basic construction is a hatchet. Hatchet does mech tonnage divided by 5 in damage, and it's mech tonnage divided by 15 in tonnage to have it. So I said that I wanted to have a hatchet. A hatchet for a 60-ton mech is 4 tons. Now, it's cool and all to use a hatchet. The You could technically have 2 hatchets, but here's the thing. The only way you double up on physical attacks is if they're both punches. Having 2 physical weapons, you only get 1 attack. The one thing the hatchet would let you, doubling up on hatchets would let you do, is regardless of whether a mech is to your left or to your right, you can deal with them. But I think 1 hatchet should be enough. So, what else? So, that 4 tons leaves 25 to work with. We're getting close to needing to start assigning towards armor and such. So, what would I like to have? I'm sure lasers are nice. Auto cannons can be interesting. But I think what I want to use are SRMs. I want to have a bunch of SRMs. You're going to take, let's see, 2 or 3. I'm going to take SRM 4s, and I'm going to take 3 of them. I could just take 2 SRM 6s, but each one is an opportunity to do 1 to 4, which will average out. You know what? No, it's fine. We'll do it this way. 3 SRM 4s. Each one is 2 tons, so there's 6. That leaves 19. And now I need ammo. I think the sensible thing to do is to have 1 ton of ammo for each SRM. That way it'll last over a prolonged battle. So 3 tons of SRM4 ammo. And that's, again, 3 tons. So that leaves 16. Okay. Now SRM4 is 3 heat to fire. So let's just make it out of that. 9 heat. If I'm already running, then that's 2. I might want to look into more heat sinks for sure. So let's look at that. But first, let's look at how much ammo per ton you get from the SRM4. That's 25 shots per. So over the course of the game, I can fire each SRM4 25 times. Now, for our campaign games, we've been putting the round limit at 10. So I really don't need that much ammo, but it never hurts to be prepared for this mech is being designed for fun anyway, so we'll see. Let's see what happens. All right. So we're down to 16 tons to work with. So now's the time to look at adding heat sinks, adding jump jets. I think I want to add jump jets for sure. At 60 tons, let's see. At 60 tons, 5 jump jets, it's 5 tons. So 5, so minus 5. So we're down to 11 to work with. It's not going to leave a whole lot for, but if we're fast and we hit first, then that'll be a arcaded survival. So what else? Running and firing all the SRMs is 11 heat, which if I'm starting out with 10 heat sinks, I probably want to add at least one more. So that leaves me 10 tons to work with for the armor. So 10 tons of armor. Right. Is anything else? Yeah. 10 tons of armor is 160 individual points spread around. And that'll complete the tonnage math. So actually assigning the armor. We can assign up to 9 points to the head, which we'll do because let's do the running total over here. Always fully armor that head because you never know. So 151 left. And we actually get to the torsos. First off, for the remaining locations, you can have twice the internal structure and external armor. But with the torsos, you then have to split that total between front and back. I've got 7 overall locations left to work with. And the torsos should be protected a little bit better as well. Because losing those means losing the arms or losing the mech. But if I'm going to be fast, it means there's going to be a risk of getting shot in the back. So I want to kind of try to balance the front and back a little bit better. So let's see what I can do here. Say, let's say we'll put, because I won't be able to get the full complement of 200 tons. You know what? Let's just write out what double each one looks like. 28, 20, and 28. 28. Okay. So all this added together is 80, 108, 168, 68. Okay, 32, 72, 192. How did I get that? That doesn't make sense. Double. Yeah, 192. Because 9 would make 201. Right. So 192 minus the 151 that I already have means that I have to take off 41 points between these seven. Probably, again, I want to focus on protecting the center and sides, but also enough protection on the legs and arms to not worry too much. So between these 7 points, I mean, if I look at 41, it's really close to 42, and 42 divides by 7 6 times. So I could just easily, see, how do I want to do this? So it's going to be that odd point. It's going to bug me to no end. I mean, theoretically, you don't need to make it symmetrical, but I don't know. Non-symmetrical things just weird me out. I don't know how to describe it. Let's let's say so. -6, -5, -6, -6, 6 for everything else. There's 18, 36, 41. All right, so 14, 22, 35, 22, 14, and 22, and 22. All right. So for the legs and arms, this is easy. 14 armor for each arm, 22 armor for each leg. And now for the torsos. Again, put I want to balance the front and back just a little bit, but I'm more likely to get hit up the front than the back anyway. So I think we'll go 20, 22 up front and 13 in the back. Yeah, just more likely to get shot up front anyway. But there should be just enough back armor that in case I have to deal with fairly big weapons, I'm not worrying too much. You know what? I'm thinking maybe I can risk a little bit more of the leg armor. So so we'll drop the leg armor down another 3 points each. So 19 and 19. And instead we'll add another point to another couple points to each of the torsos. So 24, 37, 24. So 23 and 14. And then, let's see. Yeah, the armor's just gonna kind of suck. So, but I This is what I wanted to work with. So 24, 14 and 10, 15 and 9, 16 and 8. Ah, okay, 16 and 8. Okay. All right, so there's all the armor. Yeah, 160 points of armor on a 60-ton mech is probably going to seem a bit weak when the maximum armor factor is 201. But it means more room for fun stuff like the SRMs and the jump jets and the hatchet. So once you figured out all the math and all that stuff, you'll actually put it to a sheet. So it's a heavy mech, 60 tons. Movement points 5, 8, 5. It's got three SRM4s and a hatchet. Question is, where are the SRM4s going to go? I'm thinking the SRM4s only need one critical shot. And they're going to be aimed right at the person I'm charging at. So here's a thought. If we put the hatchet, the arm that we put the hatchet in, we can move some of the armor from the other arm over to better protect it. It's asymmetrical, and again, it's going to bug the hell out of me, but it just makes sense for the protecting my cool physical weapon. All right, so the SRM4, we're going to put right out front. So we'll have a left torso, a right torso, and a center torso, SRM4. So they will occupy those slots there, there, and right there. And then the ammo. The SRM4 ammo is 25 shots each. So as you're using ammo, make a note of what places you're taking them from if you've got multiple things of ammo. Now, this is just going to add more dangerous spots to get hit critically. So just have to be careful. The hatchet's gonna, you know, so far every mech I've seen puts its hatchet in the freaking right arm. I'm gonna do something radical. Let's put the hatchet in the left arm. No one will see that coming. All right, and it's hatchet, and its location left arm. It requires no heat. Damage is tonnage by 5. Well, yeah, the hatchet can either go full body or take a penalty to go upper or lower body. If you're deliberately trying to mess with someone in the legs, you could just kick. The kick, if you fail it, carries that risk of having to take a piloting check. And falling because you failed your own kick is just hilarious, but you don't want it to happen to you. But yeah, all the details of the heat, the damage, the range brackets put in here. And then you'll mark out like what points of armor you'll actually have. One of the things I one of the things we've been doing for the campaign and that I just recommend with the game in general is these plastic sheet protectors. You can use wet erase markers. Good luck finding them to mark the actual sheet protector and then just wipe it off later. Normally, we just print off sheets and then use pencil, but for this campaign, because we're using the mechs so much, it just makes sense to use something reusable. Yeah, we'll mark out the unused armor, uh, what armor we'll actually have, and what structure is actually there. This is Inner Sphere Tech Base. Clan gets access to some pretty. Okay, I say this as a Inner Sphere player. I can kind of respect the tech that they're working with from the clan side, but I still stick to Inner Sphere. There's also experimental stuff that they're open to as well. A lot of the later period technologies. But the next thing will be to figure out what to name this mech. What's a good name for a mech that's got a hatchet in the left arm and an array of SRM4s across its torsos? Oh, should have thought of that before it started. I just wanted the craziness of the hatchet and all that stuff. But I am terrible at naming stuff. But let's try to think of a name anyway. There's a lot of mechs are named after people or things, disasters, mythological things, animals. Uh, there's some just really oddball names out there too. It's like, what is a Whitworth exactly? What does that mean? I have to look that up. I mean, the first mech ever was called a Mackie. Think of that, what you? Yeah, let's come up with a name for the mech. A lot of SRMs and a hatchet. Being left-handed is called southpaw, and oh, we'll name the mech South Pole because it's going to be a cold day in hell for you when it gets close. All right. Yeah, I'll mark out the rest of this and figure out what your mech warrior that you're taking with the mech is for its gunner and its pilot. The actual tech manual will have the C bills cost and the battle value calculations. But in the introductory game, it's just build within the limits that it gives you and just try it out and have fun. So before I declared the last BattleTech showdown thing, the last one ever, I considered, along with redoing that fight with Alpha Strike, doing the make a lance for, make two lances of custom mechs and then pit them against each other just to see how it would go. I have to really stretch my creativity on creating like unique mechs. So that's an option for the future. But for now, let's go ahead and just take care of this. For now, we've got the um, this peculiar mech design that I have to see how it works. See how it works in an actual fight. And I might talk with our local game store owner guy, who's also our BattleTech super guy, because he's known the game since almost the beginning. I think he even remembers when it was like I think he remembers when it was even Battle Droids. Just saying something. But yeah, I might ask him about how viable this is and how it works in the actual program that he uses. Yeah, it's it's just nice that an introductory game set can include ways to make custom stuff that it takes up all of one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 pages. That's like nothing. Custom custom unit creation rules with very few pages, very straightforward. All you need is a way to keep track of the math and an idea that you want to make as your own. So if you get a chance to pick up a game of Armored Combat, try out the construction rules for yourself and then test out the mechs. Might have a lot more fun with the game that way. Especially if you can find a model to represent your idea, whatever it is. All right. I hope this inspires you to try it out for yourself. Until next time, we'll see you later. This has been Pillar Nexus, the Gladiator. Thank you.